eventually given his ticket. But let's talk about one other thing that's happening here on the front page of the Standard. Forget integrity. Yeah. Anyone can vie, IBC tells the court. The integrity test. Electoral team says it has no powers to bar candidates facing graft and other cases from seeking elective positions in August. Wamatangi, is there a problem here? Because we've also seen Jubilee giving a direct ticket to former PS Lillian Omollo, who was accused in the NYS scandal. And the case is still active in court. But their statement is you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Is that is there a gap there?
Well, okay, to begin with, allow me to remind you that I'm no longer in Jubilee.
I'm aware of this. I'm just giving an example of the nominations.
So I may not competently comment on decisions made by Jubilee lately, but earlier I would have...
you could have responded.
I would have responded adequately, and I would have had a say in it. But however, as the lawyers in this panel will tell you, and which most of us are aware, also legally aware people, is that what you've said is the position of law, that you need to have gone through the entire cycle and process of law for you to be adjudged guilty of an offense, and nowhere in between the stage of being charged until the end of it can you be then be judged by anyone legally that you're guilty of that offense. And so I believe when IBC says that, they have the grounding of law and the reference of the correct law, indeed, to make that position. But then comes probably the other consideration. The other consideration would be, what does the EACC have to say? What is the role of EACC in the entire of this process? Trevor, in the bundle of documents that we normally present to IEBC for clearance, for you to be allowed to run is a document by EACC. And they're supposed to have clear deal on matters of integrity. Once they stamp that document and you bundle it together with the other certificates, that is what IBC goes through, because they will look at your photo, they will look at your nomination certificate, they will look at the EACC document, they will look at all the others, and they say, fine, this candidate is good to run. So they'll accept your paperwork. The question then would be, when IBC says that they have no power in law, or force of law for that matter, to use as a reason to stop anyone from running, what would they be saying, for example, if EACC has not cleared one to say that you have this matter, and as far as the question of integrity is concerned, because I think the argument that has been there, and I would also love to apply my mind to that argument, is the question of integrity is not a matter of a judgment by a court. You don't need to have a court clear you anywhere or to determine that Trevor is a man of integrity. And so I believe this is where the questions will be. This is where I believe that the question on are we serious sometimes about some of the issues that are there, that have been raised about individuals, in ensuring that we have got good, clean people who are ready to serve the public ascending to power. That's why it will be a judge. But then let's then fall back to why would it be testy and tricky to use that process? And I believe part of it is how we have also dealt with the matters of integrity and the independence, for example, of the EACC. Because it is true, if you ask me, that many times the EACC has been used as a political broom and stick in many cases to punish people because they are not politically correct with the administration then that is sitting, or even with individuals within the administration or even other entities. It is possible for you to go and make claims that are bogus against somebody. And because of either the political affiliation of that person will be dragged through mud by EACC, they'll be told these matters and all this kind of stuff, and that will be a blemish on their career. So when it comes to then asking, is it then does it measure up to integrity itself that a report of the EACC then will be admitted? And I think this is where the question is.
Yeah.
And I think finally the EACC would have to take a step back and address itself. How do they want to run their house? Do they want to disentangle and disengage themselves and fight for their own, not only integrity, but autonomy?
Yeah.
Such that they're able to make judgments of their own. They can be the masters of their own process, completely away from politics. And when they say that this man has a blemish of integrity, then it can be held to be so. Unfortunately, right now, most of the claims of people who are not clean that would be made by EACC would be directly linked to either a political battle or an individual who has something against another person. And this is where IBC, finally IBC would firmly be saying, we have no basis. I believe those two considerations would give IBC then the position that they have no solid base to say that they can't stop someone.
Omollo, is that where we fail as a nation? Because the other option would be all cases be given a specific timeline so that they're dealt with and done with. Disposed instead of this innocent until proven guilty. Because someone can go through an entire 10 years serve and then be proven guilty at the end of it all. So then what happens in that case?
Let me tell you, Trevor, the environment where the law operates. If you, and Dunstan Omari will tell you, if you check properly the principles of the law of evidence, there are some critical presumptions made. That, number one, all documents produced in court are all forged unless you bring as the person who produced it to testify that I'm the one who produced this. That's why all the videos we see where hate speech is done, they are not admissible in court unless the person who took the video comes and certifies. So we presume that all documents are forgeries. We presume that all witnesses are liars unless we put them to we swear them so that they are lying under oath. We can charge them with lying under oath. We also presume that judges are bribed and they are deaf. They are not listening. Even as Omari tries to put his presentations in court, the judge is just sleeping. That's the presumptions of the law of evidence. We also presume that all the charges you see in court are just framed. The fellow standing in the witness box or the prosecution box is just being framed by the state. We also presume that the prosecution, which most of the time is the state, is just paranoid and just wants to beat people around. Now, because of all those presumptions in the law of evidence, he will tell you there's something called the exclusionary nature of the law of evidence. It excludes everything except the ones that we admit. That's what brings the strict admissibility test. Why is this all done? It is because, remember, it is the state versus an individual. This individual must be protected against. The state is humongous. Thomas Jefferson, other serious scholars have called it the Leviathan. You know, in the Bible, the Leviathan is a snake with very many big horns. It is monstrous. It is humongous. No one can tell it. That's what the state is. And originally, in political science, we call the state a stationary bandit in political science. So the state never came up originally to mean well for society. It was a group of warlords who overcame society. They came together and they put everybody at ransom. Then they collect rent from everybody, and they are not accountable to. That's why institutions of accountability like democracy, like the courts, have come up to hold that state into check. Now, with all this in perspectives, you come to chapter 6 of our Constitution, which says, actually, Article 75, Sub-Article 3, I think says that anyone who has been found guilty of the offenses listed in Article 76, 77, and 78, and who has been dismissed from office because of that, will not hold any other state office. Which means, because Ferdinand Waititu was dismissed from office by being impeached, which is one of the processes recommended, he should never hold any other state office throughout his life. Because Sonko was dismissed through an impeachment in the court, in the County Assembly of Nigeria office, situation senator. Then prosecution processes are usually started by the Directorate of Public Prosecution instructed by investigations done by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, which all sit in which chapter of our Constitution? The executive. So however independent DPP and DCI are, no